All right, we're inside. We're ready for our first start. Let's go ahead and hit it and see what we have. Oop, fired. Didn't stay running, but it definitely fired. We went ahead and got these inner fenders pulled out. I had them marked, and I went ahead and trimmed and cleaned them up. No more edge there. And we cleaned them up. They had some jagged edges at different spots, and they were cut and notched weirdly. So we just made a nice arc on there, nice radius. And that'll give plenty of room for the A-arm to move, especially since it's a lot more lower, or it's lowered a lot more with the coilovers. These were actually hitting, that's why we took them out. So now we have room, but then we also cleaned up all the notchiness and made a nice nicer look. I think this truck's very rounded, so we just went rounded. I didn't really want to square it off. Anyway, that's what we did, and I had an idea of what to do here, since that's just a straight cut. I have my flanging vice grips here, flanging pliers for doing body work, and we went ahead and did this one. So I think you can see that. Yeah, there you go. You can see it on there. It did crack the paint. These are going to get sanded. This is the driver's side, and there was brake fluid actually leaking on it, so it messed the paint all up, and it actually started rusting a little bit, which is no big deal. It's not even pitted. It's just a little bit of surface rust. But this all has to be cleaned up and repainted. I think they're actually going to get powder coated, but either way. So we went ahead and took the flanging pliers and made a flange around this whole edge. Adds a lot of strength to it and adds a little bit of look to it, rather than just being completely smooth and flat like that. Looks a little bit more factory, like a 69 Camaro or whatever had a flange there, and then that's where the rubber flat bolted on, or stapled on rather. So I was kind of going after that look. It'll look a little better once that paint's cleaned off there, but I think we're going to go ahead and match this side to that. We'll go ahead and flange it too. If you've never used one of these, you can see it's got pieces welded in. It's kind of a normal pair of vice grips. They actually are vice grip brand, and it's got some jaws welded in there that are contoured, and pretty much you put that in there until it bottoms out, and then you just clamp down, and that will make a step in the metal just like that. So it's a little bit tedious. We're going to start at this end here, and we'll go crimp it, move down a tiny bit, crimp it, just keep going all the way around, and then we'll adjust the pliers to a little bit deeper depth, and we will go back around and just make that as uniform as possible. These are manual. They do make a pneumatic pair, air powered, and just, it'd be a lot quicker to use, but this is what I got. These will work, so let's get it done. And there you have it. This one's all done the same way, flanged up. I might try and actually put a bead on the very edge of this too, but see if I can get some material to do that. If I can locate something, I'll show you how it's done. If not, I think we're going to test fit these first and make sure we have good clearance everywhere. We should. I measured it when it was on the truck, but I'm just going to throw them back up on there before we do any kind of welding or any further fabrication. Let's make sure we're good. All right, guys, this is not something I normally do. I usually go step by step by step, and I know a lot of people like that, but it also kind of makes for a boring video for the majority of people that don't really want to know step by step by step. They just want to see the process of seeing something get built. So we did a bunch of stuff. I'll get you up to speed in a minute, but to fill you in right now, we're actually running all of our plug wires because we remotely mounted the coils and tucked them away from the engine compartment. You can't see them at all. I'll show you where they are in a minute, but for right now, we're running all of our plug wires. They're all 5 foot long, and we have to trim them and put ends on them on the spark plug end. So let me get caught up with doing all that, and I'll catch you guys up with everything we've done so far. And this thing is getting extremely close to the first fire. All right, we got all that squared away. We got our wires all run down in nice and neat and kind of hidden in behind the headers on either side and tied up good. We're getting ready to do our first start. So oil's full, transmission's got fluid in it. We got to top it off once it starts. Power steering fluid is topped off right now. We'll have to double check that again too. We don't have antifreeze in it yet, but we just want to fire it up and let it run for a couple minutes. Yeah, let me do a quick once over, just make sure everything's tight, belts on. I'll just go over everything, then we'll have our first start here in a couple seconds. All right, we're inside. We're ready for our first start. We do have a brake pedal somewhat. I still need to finish bleeding that, but it does have a pedal. But we're still on the lift. We're in park. Let's go ahead and hit it and see what we have. Oop, fired right up. Wow. Sounds really good, and that fired right up. Got good oil pressure. It's actually idling pretty decent. I'm kind of surprised. It's not tuned right now. We will have to tune it for this cam, but that's really, really good. Sounds really good. I'm gonna turn the wheel here. We put that new power steering box on, so we got to get the air bled out. Go a couple times. And I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off. And we're gonna just double check fluids and stuff like that, but I'm extremely happy with that. Double checked everything, topped everything off. We had to add some more transmission fluid and a little more power steering fluid. No leaks, everything's looking good. No fuel leaks anywhere, stuff like that. Just make sure you go over and check everything out. Like I said, we did a lot to this. All right, we went over this thing a couple more times, topped everything off. So let's go ahead and fire it back up. We'll let it run for a little bit. I do have a fitting coming, so again, there's no antifreeze in it yet. So we'll just run it for short periods of time. I have a fitting back there in the back of the head that's going to control these fans, because before they were just on all the time. It was really annoying. So let's jump back inside and turn the key. It actually is the next day, so it's a nice cold start. See how easy it fires up today. Oh, sounds good. All that's looking good. We have power steering. Really, really good. I'm surprised it sounds that good, to be honest with you, being not tuned yet. When you hit the throttle, as you can see there, and it actually had that before, so the tune needed adjusted a tiny bit. So we'll get that all straightened out, but for now, she's alive. We're going to go ahead and do a quick oil change here. Now we let this run for a little bit and got that initial break-in done. We'll go ahead and put some fresh oil in, new filter, and we'll run it for a little while, and we'll end up doing an oil change. I don't know. This thing is not going to get driven all that much, so I want to say 500 miles, but it'll probably be way before then, because it probably just won't have 500 miles in a year on it. So it'll have a lot more idle time. So we'll run it, get this fresh oil in, get it tuned, run it for a little bit, and then do another oil change. All right, we got everything finished up on here. We got it actually down on the ground. We had to jack it up to get the lift arms out because it's sitting so low now. Let's take a step back and look how much lower this thing is. Obviously, once again, these are not the wheels and tires that are going to be running on it. They're just kind of rollers for now. But let's fire this thing up, get it outside. We still have a little bit of daylight. We can take a quick peek at it. And this thing is actually getting delivered today because kind of a big announcement, a big progression on this truck. The step side bed is actually going to be coming off, and we purchased, or the customer purchased, I have to go pick it up, a fleet side bed, brand new, and it's going to get painted and installed on the truck. And I think it's going to get the 67 side trim down the side around the wheel wells and down the side of the truck. So really, really going to change the look of this truck. To me, for the good. I'm a big fan of the fleet side over the step side in a two-wheel drive truck, but let's get this thing outside. Well, that's what we were going to do, but somehow I lost some footage there at the end, so the truck is actually already back home. We do have stuff planned with that truck, obviously. Like I said, we are swapping the bed out, but we have to put the bed together, and then it needs to be painted, and then it needs to be swapped on the truck, which is going to take a little bit of time. Once we get that done, then we can go ahead and finalize the exhaust, and then we can actually measure for wheels and tires and stuff like that, and then set the ride height. So the truck's come a long ways, and it's looking really good. I wanted some more sound clips in there, but unfortunately that's all we have to work with. I'll definitely get some more later, and it's actually getting tuned here really soon also. So yeah, unfortunately that's what we have, but thanks for stopping by, and stay tuned for the rest of that build. It's going to be awesome.